Hey guys, what's going on? About to jump up in the truck here and head over to the gym for a quick workout. But I figured when I get done working out, I'll come back to the house and give you guys a little tour of my shop, tour of my home garage here, and see what you guys think. Alrighty, we're gonna head inside. Just gonna set all my stuff down here so my hands aren't full, and then we'll get the tour started. Alright guys, welcome to the garage here. As you can see, I got a 3-car garage. If you measure the square footage out, it actually comes out to more like a 4-car garage, because as you can see here where the toolbox is, the wall here is actually blown out a couple feet, and that adds this much more room where I could fit this giant snap-on box. And it's recessed in, so I don't have to worry about the car being too close, and I could get in over here and get my tools out and work around the car without having to worry about banging into it or scratching it. And from the single bay here too, as you can see where the car is parked, there's easily another probably 4 or 5 feet here between the car and the lift post. So it's definitely a lot wider than a standard 1-car garage on this side. And then over here, this opens up to the double bay with a single double door. And then you can see over here also, there's a huge, I think I measured this out when I did the flooring, it was 10 by 10 bonus area here that goes past the second bay. So that's a decent amount of room here for me. When I did the flooring, I think it came out to 850 square feet, so it's definitely a nice size working area. So I guess we'll start over here in the corner where I got some of my equipment set up. There's kind of a bike in the way here. That's my buddy's 1200 custom Sportster. He's keeping it here at my house right now. He's trying to sell it, so anybody down here in Southwest Florida that's looking for a nice clean 04 or 05 Sportster 1200 custom, he's got one here. We just finished rebuilding the carburetor on it. Runs mint. So over here I got a 60-gallon 2-stage Ingersoll Rand compressor. This I got off online somewhere. They shipped it to the house for free, I think about $1,200. Really nice compressor. It pumps up about 175 psi, and then I got it run through regulator here down to 100 psi for the shop. And I have this all fed in here with that, I believe they call it maxi line. I'd have to look it up just to double check, but it's this like flexible PVC stuff, so even if you were to puncture it with a screwdriver or something you're working around here, it's not going to explode and shatter like PVC would. It expands. So I ran this up, it goes into the attic, and then it comes out where I have my hose reels installed. So it's a real clean install, keeps everything looking real nice. Then I have another air regulator station here for another hose hookup if I wanted to run a different pressure for like a sander or a nail gun or anything I'm working with. It's nice to have different options. If you're using 2 different hoses, you can run 2 different pressures. And I leave the air secured right now, so this tank's actually pumped up to 150 psi, but I leave the air secured unless I'm using it. I figure it's safer that way, bottled up in the tank, versus being in the lines where it just leaks out and runs all the time. And over here I have a 3-foot by 5-foot welding bench. I made this myself. It's just a 3 by 5 feet of plate steel. I think it's 3/8 thick. Framed it out with 1.5 inch tubing. I think 1/8 or 1/4 inch wall thickness, I don't exactly remember. And then I mounted it on some casters and bolted a nice little bench vise here. So this is a good working station. I do a lot of my welding here, and it works out pretty well. Over here, I have my Snap-on YA212 industrial MIG welder. Mostly just use that for mild steel welding. That's the machine I used when I put this whole bunch together, because that was the only one I had at the time before I got the TIG machine here. So over here I got an old school transformer style Miller Synchrowave 250. This I actually got from my dad. He picked it up, got it for free, believe it or not, with the water cooler, the machine, and it came with all the power leads here. And the only thing I had to buy for it was a water-cooled torch and like the hose fittings, because the one the guy had set up was completely incorrect. And I got the foot pedal there, and nice bottle, big bottle of argon here. So come around his bike over here that's in the way. I got an oxyacetylene rig here for heating up old rusty bolts or cutting some metal away. And if you look up here, we have the garage sub panel. So here's the regular 200 amp panel for the house, and then down here the electricians installed a 80 amp sub panel breaker that feeds this sub panel here for the garage. And it's pretty bare right now. I don't have too much going on in here. I got my air compressor, the lift, and then the welding outlets installed here. And probably in the near future, when I add some air conditioning in here, because I'm in Southwest Florida and it's about probably 90 degrees in the garage right now, and it's not even the middle of the day. It's just that residual heat built up from the day, and it just does not cool down here. It's miserable to work in the summer. So I'm gonna have them run a line across over the other side and probably put like a 24,000 BTU window AC in one of those over there, or possibly a ductless split AC. I don't know yet. We'll see. And over here I got my little welding chart I downloaded for setting it up and set points and stuff. So yeah, that's this little 10 by 10 area. Moving on over here, I got a Sandblast B-Blast cabinet. This I bought offline as well. I think this was 800 bucks. It's pretty nice. It does what I need to do. It's perfect size for the garage. It fits right in here in the corner. You put in old car parts, whatever, blast them clean, and then prime and paint them, get all the rust and grit off them and everything. I don't know if I were to get another one, if I would go with this particular brand. It seems a little bit on the flimsy side. The legs are pretty thin. When I was putting it together, it's tough to get the panels lined up. They were a little distorted from shipping. But I guess for a little garage cabinet, this is pretty good. Probably their larger industrial size stuff is actually built a little heavier. It's made in the USA, as you can see here, Cleveland, Ohio. And it's worked out pretty good for me so far. I've been meaning to put in another airdrop here so I can just hook this up and have it hooked up all the time, not have to run a reel over to plug it in. That way I could just throw the part in, turn it on, and go. One of the main things with this garage is I wanted to set it up with convenience in mind, so you don't have to put a lot of prep time into setting a piece of machinery up or lugging tools out that are stored away in places that aren't convenient to get at. So everything here is kind of thought of in that aspect where you just plug in and go. So I'll probably get that done at some time. Just a little wall decor here, Pink Floyd poster I had from when I was in high school. Moving on to the other side. Over here I got one of my hose reels. I think I just picked this up from Home Depot, like 50 bucks. And it's got a manifold over here from the kit I got, and as you can see, a ball valve drain line. So you can blow out any moisture built up in the compressed air system, which I do have that nice filter dryer on there, and it pretty much keeps the air very dry. I haven't had any moisture carry over into my tools or anything. Here we have just a regular homemade, it's an 8-foot long bench I put together. It's just 4x4 legs. I think these are 2x6 supports for a nice little 3/4 inch piece of plywood. Just put a light coat of stain on it. It's just a nice little workbench to lay out parts, or a tech manual. While you got a car in the lift here, you just spin right around and have all your nuts and bolts organized nice and neat. Down here I got all tucked underneath. I got my shop vac, my battery charger, jump starter, whatever you want to call it, a little rolly stool, and then my fan. Right now that's my only relief from the Florida heat down here. And just 2 little shop stools and just a little mini fridge. Keep some water, some beer, whatever. You spin around here, I got my my lift. This is an Atlas lift. I think the model was a BP 8000. I believe it's an 8,000 pound lift. This was actually an extremely interesting install. I ordered this when I was overseas working. I was running off some rough measurements I had from the ceiling height and ordered this lift thinking it was gonna fit. When I got home, I unboxed the lift. My buddy's helping me put it together, and it turned out that we mismeasured the ceiling height in the garage. We were about a foot off, or maybe 6 inches off, and we could only stand the columns up in this blown out section where the air handler is, and realized, like, oh man, we really screwed up. So instead of returning the lift and trying to find one with a lower height, because I believe this company makes the lowest tooth post lift with a base plate on it. So we had to improvise here, and what I came up with was the idea of actually cutting the columns. So when I had the columns laid down here on the floor, I cut, I believe, 6 inches off the column to just clear the ceiling, and then I had to then cut the base plate and bring the lift actually in closer, because these pulleys went up another 6 inches or so on each side, I was going to have too much slack on the cable. I guess I could have measured a new cable length and probably got a new cable cut, but I really just didn't want to modify anything else on it. So in my infinite wisdom, seemed like cutting the posts and just bringing this down was better. Another option maybe would have been to just cut the drywall out and try and put the lift between the joist and the ceiling. But I didn't really want to hack apart the ceiling in the garage, so I was like, you know what? Screw it, let's just cut the freaking posts and then we'll see how this thing works. And it actually turned out okay. I had my buddy's F-150 in here that we had to drop his oil pan and replace the gasket on it. And it actually, we could fit a full-size pickup truck in here, lift it up. Obviously it's not going to lift up in the overhead, but we got it a couple feet off the ground where we could work comfortably on it with some rolly stools here. And it works perfect for the Z06. When I did the exhaust on the car, it was, I don't know, probably about chest height for me, and I just sat on my little rolly stool, wherever it is. There it is in the corner, my little rolly stool. Had my service cart over here with me and was just able to work on it, bolt the exhaust right up, and it was perfect. It was a dream come true for me to have a lift in my garage and be able to work on my own stuff, not have to crawl on the floor, jack it up on jack stands, laying on my back. I mean, it is just so nice to have a lift in your own garage where you can put your car up on it anytime you want. Inspect stuff, look at stuff, do a brake job, exhaust. I mean, whatever I need to do, I can do right here in my own garage. So I think that covers almost everything with the lift here. We can talk a little bit about the flooring. The flooring is from a company called Race Deck. I'm sure you've seen advertisements if you're looking into building a garage or whatever. They're pretty popular. I went with Race Deck mostly for the look. I mean, I thought it was just the coolest looking stuff. Having a floor framed out in Victory Lane style checkers and then mixed in with the kind of machinery gray here and the red, I think it just looks incredible. It just really brings the garage together. I put the lift and the flooring in pretty much at the same time, so I never got to see the two independently, like the lift without the floor done or the floor without the lift. So this just brought the whole garage together, having the lift installed in here, and then having the flooring done. The only issues I've run into the flooring really is doing some welding on it. If you get spatter from the MIG welder, it pretty much burns a hole because it's just plastic flooring. So I just throw a fire blanket down now just to keep the floor nice. And I always mop up after I do a job, make sure to try and keep it looking as clean and fresh as possible. And the only other issue is in the afternoon, the sun shines pretty much right through these doors. So if I have them open, the uneven heating of the floor tiles causes pretty serious distortion where the tiles actually go into a little bit of a wave. So I have to shut the doors in the afternoon and keep the sunlight off them, otherwise they'll distort. But not too big of a deal. So to continue on this way, these are all cabinets and storage lockers I got. I think it was from Home Depot. It's either Home Depot or Lowe's. I can't remember at this time, but the whole setup here I think was around $1,200 for everything. The 3 cabinets, the 3 lower cabinets here, and the 3 upper cabinets, which I didn't think was too bad. They're not the greatest quality. They're a little on the chintzy side, but I've had these for 3 years and they've held up fine, so I really can't complain too much. I mean, the shelvings haven't like caved in or they haven't fallen apart yet, so all is good in my book. And then I just built this little plywood top for it, just took the measurements, cut it out with a table saw, and just installed this here, bolted it down. A little coat of stain, but it's 3 years old now, so it's a little nasty. So in here, the cabinet on the left, I just keep my all my consumables, WD-40, starting fluid, carb cleaner, oil, all that kind of stuff. And I got some of my power tools down below here. And I have another hose reel installed on this side of the garage too. So it just makes it so much more convenient not having to drag the hose all the way across the shop. We got a little bench grinder mounted here. I used to sharpen my tungstens for my TIG welder or do a little grinding, nothing crazy. Keep a lot of my welding supplies here, safety equipment, filler rod, torch accessories. And same thing down here. I got spare wire spools for my MIG, cables. And then here's just some general painting stuff, sandpaper. This is turning into a mess here. And then I got my my hydraulic jacks, some chains, some towing stuff, my engine cradle, and then I just got my PPE here, safety gear. And down here, oh, just my snap-on electric impact gun. This cabinet, I just got some of my boating stuff here, gear lube, 2-stroke oil, safety gear, and my little electric pressure washer down there. I just picked up this phone cam off Amazon. I mean, these things seem to be like all the hype these days, so I was like, man, I gotta get one and check this out, see what it's all about. So I'm probably gonna check it out tomorrow, maybe clean the Corvette or the truck and just see how it works. It was like 18 bucks, so I thought, screw it, let's try it out, see how it works. This one here is just kind of a mess. I think it's all old go-kart parts that are stored out in the shed, but I mean, nothing really to see, just some motors, parts, sprockets, and crap in there. And then my upper cabinets, I got just painting supplies, Bondo, resin, spray cans, caulking guns, nothing crazy. Here I got just some shop towels, some car stuff, and then over here I keep all my car cleaning stuff up here, and then I just got some lawn crap up there, bug spray, ant killer, some concrete cleaner, and just my refrigerant bottle and some hydraulic oil, parts cleaner fluid kept up there. And over here I got my snap-on toolbox. It's pretty much loaded up with, I'd say 95% snap-on tools. My dad pretty much got me set on that from when I was younger. He had all snap-on. He works as a mechanic, so he turned me on to getting pretty much all snap-on for my shop as well. I mean, I hate to be a brand whore or whatever you want to call it, but I truly believe that they're the best tools out there. Yeah, they're expensive as hell, but if you buy a lot of the stuff secondhand like I did, off Craigslist deals and whatnot, you're really not going to spend any more than if you were to get like a quality Craftsman set. So this box right here with everything, I mean the box, the stainless steel top, the side cabinet, the hutch, the 2 lockers on top, which I don't even use because I'm kind of short and they're too tall for me, and the light, you know, everything here. This I picked up for, I believe it was 2,500 bucks. Got it up north of Sarasota. Guy had a storage locker. He had to move it. He was basically hurting, I guess, to get rid of it. He didn't want to pay rent on the storage locker anymore just to keep this thing after his divorce or something. So I went up, checked out the box. Everything seemed pretty good. I mean, some of the drawers are a little on the stiff side. I got to throw some grease on them. The rails are a little stiff, but for the most part it works out well. And I had a guy actually come with a flatbed, loaded this toolbox up and drove it an hour down to my house. I think he charged me like 150 bucks for delivery of it. But I mean, this brand new would probably be a friggin' $10,000 or $15,000 toolbox right off the Snap-on truck that I scored for 2,500 bucks. So you really can't beat it. If later on you guys want like a toolbox tour or something, see how I organize my stuff, we can definitely set up something like that. I mean, I got drawers full of all Ingersoll Rand, Snap-on, pneumatic tools. I mean, pretty much everything outfitted to work on whatever I have in here. So coming around this way, maybe one of the only things I haven't shown you yet is just got a couple of the drop-down extension cords installed here in the overhead. I just like to keep everything clean and accessible. That's kind of, I think, of the theme of this garage here is just, you know, if you need power, boom, you just grab it, pull it down, hook up your tool. Or if you need compressed air, you're running an impact gun, boom, you just grab the hose reel, pull it down, add air to the tires, whatever you're doing. It's just so convenient. I got the other air hose reel right in front of the lift, so this is super accessible. And then off to the side, this is probably like the messiest part. I have a lot of my steel stock just thrown off to the side. I've been meaning to build a rack like up in the overhead or something for all this stuff. This is some of the stuff I acquired to build my cart for my TIG welder. I want to get that thing mounted up on a cart and on wheels, so that way if I have to move it or do any TIG welding in the lift bay, I don't think my 25-foot lead would reach over into it. So I want to be able to wheel that welder over. Right now, the only way I can move it is with my engine hoist. That's how I got it out of the back of my pickup truck. So that would be just a nightmare if I had to pick it up, move it over to do a project or whatever, if I couldn't take it off the car or something. So definitely something in the near future. Maybe I'll start doing some videos of some builds and stuff so you guys can actually see some of the projects I do here in the garage. That'd be pretty cool. And maybe we'll just walk across here and I'll just show you some of the toys I got in the garage here. We pointed out before, that's my buddy's Sportster, the 1200. Under the cover here, I got a Yamaha GP1300R jet ski. I don't really feel like taking the cover off now, so if you guys want to see like a review of that thing or some of the mods I got done to it, we can do that. This dolly I got it on right here, I built this all out of some of the leftover tubing I had when I did the bench, and then I just had to buy like 4 casters, pressure treated 2x4 wrapped in some outdoor carpet there. And this works perfect where I can just load it with the winch right on the trailer. So I'll back the trailer up to the bay here, I'll hook it on the eye in the front, and I could literally just winch the jet ski right up onto the trailer. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt to pull it off, but I get it back off into the garage, kept inside, always on the battery tender here, so this thing's pretty sweet. But if you want to see a video on that, we can do that later on. Over here I got my 08 Softail Deluxe. This thing's pretty much bone stock right now. It's got a pair of slip-on mufflers just to give it a little of the Harley V-twin sound to it. But other than that, it's pretty much exactly how I bought it. I haven't done anything to this thing. I don't really feel the need to. I don't ride it that often, but when I do, I mean, just get out, blast around a little bit, have some fun, and bring it back into the garage. Kept all nice. And then over here, this is pretty much my pride and joy. I've been wanting one of these cars for a long time. My dad's got an 04 C5 Z06 that I absolutely adore, but I just wanted to get the newer body style. I always like the C6 more than the C5 Z06s. I mean, the car is just a blast. It's so much fun, raw power. I mean, it's just like driving a go-kart, but you're on the road. So this is a 2009 Z06. It's the 3LZ package. I wanted to make sure I got the all the nice interior trim, because I've seen the other packages and they just don't have quite the pop that the 3LZ does, with the leather wrapped dash, the carbon fiber inserts on the console and everything. So I got this a couple months ago. I was overseas working on one of my ships in Guam, browsing Auto Trader. I was browsing Auto Trader one day, just kind of keeping a lookout for probably the past 2 years or so, and this one popped up in New Jersey, pretty close to my parents' house. I've always wanted the cyber gray metallic with the black leather interior, which for some reason these are extremely hard to find, especially with like low mileage. I bought this one with 19,000 miles on it, which I thought was pretty good. And yeah, I called my dad up from overseas. I was like, hey Dad, I'm really interested in this car. Can you go check it out for me? Him and my mom drove all the way out there, checked out the car, and beforehand, before I had him even go look, I got him a power of attorney to get me the car, wired him a deposit and everything, so he could just go there, purchase the car if he thought it checked out, and bring it home for me. So sure enough, the deal went through. They brought it back to their house on Long Island. When I got off the ship, I flew to New York, picked the car up, and then I drove this thing from New York straight down to Florida. It was like a 17-18 hour drive cruising in this thing, but it was a friggin' blast. I loved every minute of it, or I guess every hour of it. It really made the drive that much more enjoyable. I was used to doing it in my Ram 1500 pickup truck, and that, oh man, that's not something you want to do all the time, is do that drive, Florida to New York, but it was a lot more fun than the Z06. And then I got this car down here, and I pretty much kept it stock for about a month, and then I was like, man, I need to start putting my own little personal touches on it. So first thing I did was I installed the K&N intake, and then after that I was like, man, I need this thing to be a little throaty or a little louder, actually sound like it has an LS7 under the hood. So I did the Corsa Sport exhaust system on this car. I absolutely love Corsa products. I have the Corsa exhaust on my truck, so it was pretty fitting to go with the Corsa system on the Z06. I had listened to so many YouTube clips of different exhausts on this car, and there was one specific video I heard this guy just ripping through the gears, doing flybys with the camera set up outside the car, and I just fell in love with the sound. So I went with that exhaust, and I don't think I would change it for the world. I absolutely love it. But we can do a car video where we show you the Z06 and what's definitely in store next. In no way, shape, or form is this going to stay like this, where it's just the intake and the exhaust right now. Once I get back off my next ship assignment, I'm going to tear into this thing. We're probably going to do we'll finish up the exhaust system. We'll do the long tube headers. We'll do the mid pipe. The axle back's already there, so that can stay. And then I'm probably going to do a camshaft in it. I've always loved the sound of the old muscle cars that had the big cams in it with the nice lope to it. So I definitely want to get a cam in this car, and then work on getting it tuned and getting it dialed in, and then it should be a pretty badass street car. I'm hoping to push around 550 wheel with this car, and I think when I get to that point, I'm going to be pretty happy with it. I don't know if I'm going to ever want to push it past the 550 mark, but they always say, you know, you'll enjoy that horsepower boost for however long, and then you're going to get bored of it. It's going to feel like it was stock again, and you're going to want more, so we'll see. So I think this pretty much finishes up the the garage tour here. If there's anything else you guys want to see, just put it down in the comments. I'll read through them if you guys suggest anything. You want to see a video about the Z06, you want to see jet ski video, motorcycle video, any of the stuff that I got going on here in the garage when I'm working on stuff, tearing stuff apart. I'd love to start filming it and sharing my experience and what I do here in the garage with all of you, and hopefully you guys want to stay tuned and check it out. I think some of the stuff's pretty cool.